Today on All Out Brick, we're going to be taking a look at the set Roodaka. We're going to build it, review it, and then give out a score. Let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm Christian from All Out Brick. Welcome to another Matsunui Monday. As always, the best way to tag along with us every week is to subscribe and turn on notifications. This week, we're going to be looking at set 8761, Roodaka, who was a Titan set that was released in the 2005 line of Bionicle. Roodaka is both cunning and manipulative, and was the former viceroy of the Visorak horde prior to her overthrowing Sidorak, which takes place in Bionicle, the Web of Shadows. Taking a look at the packaging, the front of the box follows the same patterns as the previous two Titan sets. We have Roodaka crashing through this big open window, and the ring around Roodaka is blue, of course, to match this kind of set theme. It doesn't exactly match. I wish they would have gone with silver, but blue works fine too. And at the bottom here, we see ages 8+, the set number 8761. In the middle, we have the set name Roodaka, and the bottom right, there's an advertisement for the Roodaka spinner function. Once again, on the left side of the box, we have the images of all three of the base Titan sets from 2005. On the top of the box, once again, we have some advertisements for Bionicle 2, The Legends of Metru Nui. This is just so bizarre to me that we don't get to see the Web of Shadows get advertised for 2005. And on the back of the box, there's a couple of different images of Roodaka standing up. They show how the different play mechanisms are going to work with her. And at the bottom here, we have the two Titan combination models that can be created with two of the Titan sets. Of course, there is a third that isn't pictured on this box. Roodaka is our final base Titan build, so I'm pretty excited to see what this one offers based on what we saw from the last two from Kitangu and Sidorak. Let's waste no time and go ahead and get the Roodaka build completed. Alright, so 27 minutes later, I've completed the Roodaka build. It was a pretty fun build, a little bit repetitive, especially with those legs, and that was the longest part of the build, but it was still pretty fun. There's some nice little detail pieces thrown out all through the model, and the result is fantastic. Roodaka has this really big presence to her. She's a lot bigger than I thought she was. I mean, her legs are humongous, and I think she's definitely the tallest of the Titan sets from 2005, and just again, those legs are huge. There's three large sections to the legs, and they're really good details as well all throughout. I think Roodaka does a good job, just like Sidorak, of being a very fluid design. Not quite as good as Sidorak, because I mean, Sidorak, I don't know if we're ever going to get that clean of a design again, but Roodaka is still a pretty clean design, and throughout the model, everything flows together, the different pieces, the way they join, it looks very natural, and I think they did that another good job here with Roodaka, just like Sidorak. I don't want to say it's my favorite part of Roodaka, but it's definitely my most appreciated part, is all the detail that they included on her back. There's some different silver armor pieces and some leg parts and a Toa Metru foot that just add some detail, and I think you can finally see it with Roodaka here. It makes a big difference when you have some little details on the back, and again, these are just 2 or 3 pieces, but they add so much completion to the rest of the model, and it really works. I'm so glad they finally decided to do it. It just also makes me go back and wonder, why didn't we do this earlier for Sidorak? Made that set incredible. I feel like they did a really good job of making Roodaka pull off that feminine look. And when you think of Bionicle, we generally all have male characters, and other than Gali and Okama, and we don't really get any large female figures, and so I think it's pretty cool to shake it up with Roodaka, and there's some different elements throughout the build that really emphasize that. I mean, you can go throughout the build and there's different areas, and I think it's just cool. It's different. It's something that you wouldn't expect, and it just emphasizes those human features, and again, it works. Another really awesome part of Roodaka's build is her head. There's a lot of cool different pieces that they use here that we've really never seen before in Bionicle sets, at least, and it just creates this entirely different look. It uses the Vaki head in a different way, and they really put off this original look. Like we saw with Sidorak, we had this original head look with a couple different pieces. This is a smaller head with some more finer details, and it just really works. I love the orange that they threw in there. It a great job. The play functions with Roodaka are pretty top notch. When you look at her left arm, it's pretty similar to Kitangu, like where you spin this black Technic axle, and she has this little weapon, or like, I don't know exactly what you'd call it, but it spins around and it's a really fun function. And then over on her right arm, this is the real star of the show. It's the Roodaka spinner. And typically we rip the ripcord out of the like Roodaka spinner holder, and that's what causes it to fly. Well, Roodaka changes that, and it is so ingenious what they've done here. So you put the Roodaka spinner on the assembly, and then it actually slides up the ripcord and locks into place. And then you just pull on this one black piece. You rip that off of the ripcord, and then the disc goes flying in the air. It is awesome. I mean, for the Roodaka spinners, we've gotten them in every single set of 2005. So finally, to change up how they're done, it's so fresh. And again, the Roodaka spinners, you know how much I like the Roodaka spinner functions. I think they're right up there with the 2001 throwing discs. And it's really cool to see them actually think outside of the box and say, hey, you know, we could have easily just put the ripcord and pulled that out. And the only thing I wonder, though, with her right arm is, in canon, is it supposed to be like that, where it's just that like ripcord on the end and that weapon, or does she actually have like a hand assembly in there? Because I feel like that was maybe a trade-off they had to consider when they were making this set and putting that function in. But I'm so glad they did, because it shakes things up and makes it feel so fresh for a function that we've seen plenty of times at this point to 2005. There are a couple cons I want to touch on for Roodaka. Number one, I talked about a little bit just before this, is her left arm being pretty much an identical copy of Kitangu's right arm. Now, granted, I'm not sure which one got designed first. Potentially Kitangu's the one who copied Roodaka. I guess we'll never really know. But since we already did Kitangu, this just feels a little lazy to me. I mean, it's still fun and there's some very slight changes to it, but it's essentially the same thing as Kitangu, so you're not getting a whole lot new there. The only other issue I had with Roodaka, and the fact that there's only two, I mean, pretty awesome set, is that the color scheme, I hate to say it, but it just doesn't work for me. It really, this black and silver, I don't like it. You know, we saw some great colors with Sidorak and Kitangu in the other 2005 Titan sets, and when you look at the box art for Roodaka, it has that blue ring. I almost wonder if they were thinking about making her black pieces like this pearl dark blue or dark blue, and I think that would have been absolutely incredible. I think those colors all working together for not only just like the 2005 Titan line, but for Roodaka, like, I think the blue and the silver would have been excellent. And I don't want to say we were robbed of it, but to go to black and silver, it just doesn't do it. It feels so bland. And I mean, I hate to say that it takes it down like a good amount, but the color scheme, I'm just not a fan of the color scheme. And there's so much to love about this set that it stinks that the color scheme is what's holding it back, because everything else is pretty much there. Overall, Roodaka is a really awesome set. She's a great Titan set, not just for the 2005 line, but overall pretty awesome Titan set when you look at the entire line so far of Bionicle. There's just a lot to love. There's a ton of articulation and posing. I had no issue with my rubberized joints in this set, thankfully, so her legs are, like, you can really pose her, especially because her legs have a ton of different articulation options. And then the play features, the right arm is, it's just amazing. That different, unique function for the Roodaka spinner, I'm just such a big fan of that. And there's a bunch of different details all throughout this model to love. It's a pretty fluid design, not quite as much as Sidorak, but that's a pretty high standard. So it's pretty dang good when it comes to the fluidity of this model. And I do really like it. It's just that the color scheme, really, I hate to say how much it affects my opinion on the set, but I really wish we got like a bolder color scheme. And again, with what we got with Kitangu's yellow and Sidorak's dark red, going back to black and silver for Roodaka just doesn't work for me. If you like to buy Roodaka yourself, you're going to have to be prepared to pay a pretty good amount. In used condition, Roodaka is typically around like $80 US right now, which is pretty high. That's over double the amount of Sidorak and Kitangu in used condition. And in brand new sealed condition, Roodaka is going to run for like $170 US right now, and that's going to continue to go up. I mean, I don't recommend getting it in new. I mean, you're just going to have to take the risk that I did with these rubberized joints, and since they are the black and gray ones, if yours are loose, you could probably just go on Bricklink and get some better condition ones for a pretty cheap price. So I don't spend $170 on this set. Just, you could get Sidorak and Kitangu sealed for the same price. I mean, pretty simple equation right there, huh? In terms of a score, I'm going to give Roodaka an 8.4, and I was kind of torn on this score. I feel like I would really recommend getting this set if you can get a good deal on it. It's just the color scheme, it does bring it down a little bit. I think if it were like that pearl blue or dark blue and silver, this would be right up there with like the 9.0 sets. Like it would be really high up. I can't help but look at it and be like, gray and silver, we've seen it plenty of other times, but there are a ton of cool functions in Roodaka, and she makes her a pretty dang menacing like display option if you're going to make like a whole little scenery display or something like that, or a mock. I think Roodaka is really good for that, so it's really just up to you whether or not you're a big fan of this model and you're willing to shell out that extra money you're going to have to pay just to get Roodaka. I would say if you're like kind of on the fence about it, like definitely go with Roodaka, because you're going to have to pay way more in the future if you ever decide to get it. So you might as well just get it now if you're thinking about it. And there's a lot to love. Just unfortunately, a little bit of room for improvement could have made this thing one of my favorite Bionicle sets to date. So 8-4, that's your review. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to be the first to see all of our future content. Also be sure to check us out on our website and on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Until next time, stay bricking.